to the end. And if you lose, they'll wonder if you're just a brilliant flash in the pan. That's the kind of pressure that's going to be on Jennifer Capriati as she heads toward the U.S. Open in New York this Monday. You've probably seen her smile her way through press conferences and quick sessions in front of the camera. But Chris Wallace decided to spend some time with her and the people around her to discover what really makes Jennifer run.
How has Jennifer Capriati spent her summer vacation? Well, let's say it's been different. While other teenagers were at the beach working on their tans, she was working against the top tennis players in the world. While some kids were making $4 an hour flipping hamburgers, she was earning tens of thousands of dollars a week playing a game.
A check for $40,000. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
At age 14, Jennifer is the new hope of U.S. women's tennis. She's the girl next door. That is, if the girl next door can hit a serve 95 miles per hour. After only 6 months as a professional, she's ranked number 13 in the world and could make $4 million in her first year. There are endless demands from corporate sponsors and media and fans. But Jennifer seems to be handling this madness just fine. Are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. It's great. It's all worth it all.
Women's tennis hasn't seen anything like it since Chris Evert turned pro at age 18 in 1972. Evert, who's now retired, has known Jennifer for years. But even she's surprised at how well she's done. What impact has she had on the game in these few months that she's been a pro?
People like to see new blood, and Jennifer came along at a good time. It was like a shot in the arm for American tennis, not only women's tennis, but for tennis in general in America.
Another former champion, Billie Jean King, may be an even bigger fan.
She has the intensity and the concentration of a champion, and Jennifer plays the big points better than others, and that's why I believe someday she will be the #1 player in the world.
But Jennifer is still 14, and she toured Europe this summer with her own personal support group. Team Capriati includes her father Stefano, who left the real estate business to oversee his daughter's career. Full-time agent John Evert, Chris's kid brother. Her mother Denise, who works as a flight attendant when Jennifer is not competing. And 11-year-old Stephen, who's a promising tennis player himself.
All right, see you guys later.
Jennifer's European tour was part tennis education, part summer vacation. First stop, Rome and the Italian Open, where Jennifer got as far as the quarterfinals. But she has different memories. What was special about Rome?
Rome? Well, the food was very good there. And
What food?
Pasta, of course, the Italian food.
Then on to Paris and the French Open, where Jennifer became the youngest player in the history of the Grand Slam to reach the semifinals. Off the court, she saw the sights, including Napoleon's tomb, which reminded her of a teen movie she had seen.
We were talking about how we passed Napoleon's tomb, and how I heard about Napoleon was that movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
And it said about Napoleon, they called him the short little dead dude. So I saw that, and I was like, there's the short little dead dude. That's where he was buried.
Napoleon.
Yeah.
On to a tournament in southern England, and Jennifer's first big disappointment. She was thrashing a lower-ranked player when she suddenly fell apart and lost, reminding everyone she's still a teenager.
I think I lost concentration and thought, oh, I've got this match won already, you know. Still, you know, fight to the last ball, you never know what could happen. And I found out what could happen.
You can get beat.
Yeah.
The centerpiece of Jennifer's European tour came in late June here at Wimbledon, the most prestigious tournament in tennis. It is known simply as the Championships, with more than 100 years of tradition. And Jennifer came here with a teenager's mix of awe and utter confidence. Wimbledon officials knew a box office draw when they saw one, and scheduled Jennifer's first match on center court. What does it mean to play here at Wimbledon?
It's always been in my dream to play here. And when I went on that center court, I mean, I was so excited. I mean, I couldn't believe I was finally here just to play on center court.
Game, set, match, Miss Capriati.
Jennifer promptly put herself in the record book as the youngest player ever to win a match at Wimbledon. But that was the easy part. The hard part was having to curtsy to members of the British royal family.
Were you scared?
Yes, I was. I was nervous, you know, to go out there. I mean, I wanted to laugh when I did it because I thought this is all great. I just wanted to start laughing, but I knew I shouldn't do that.
Not good form.
That wouldn't be smart.
Can you show it to us, the
Sure.
Capriati curtsy technique?
Sure.
You
You just, your right leg behind your left, keep your leg straight, and just bend.
Jennifer kept curtsying and kept winning. At 5'7" and 135 pounds, she hits the ball as hard as anyone in women's tennis. As her stay at Wimbledon was extended, she took time out to tour London, and Primetime tagged along.
So this is where the Queenie lives?
This is where the Queen lives, yes, yes.
While other tourists stared at her, Jennifer saw the sights with a total lack of self-consciousness. At Buckingham Palace, she did what everyone does, try to get a response from one of the guards.
Oh, he waved! He waved!
At Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, she learned about the royalty that might come watch her on center court.
Fergie is the Duchess, right? Duchess.
Somehow, you can't imagine Steffi Graf ever acting like this. But Steffi was waiting for Jennifer back at Wimbledon for a highly anticipated match. Could the ingenue topple the reigning queen of tennis? The answer, not yet. While Jennifer rolls over lower-ranked players, she has yet to beat any of the top 5 women. Steffi won in a businesslike 59 minutes. You might have expected Jennifer to be crushed, but she left center court looking as if she'd had a fine time and knew she'd be back.
I was really happy just to be out there playing her, and I thought she was really great, and it was just fun.
But for all of Jennifer's exuberance, there was some controversy at Wimbledon, as some of the older players, led by Martina Navratilova, questioned whether the teenagers are being pushed too hard, too fast, whether they may burn out in a few years.
We have many more tournaments on hard surfaces, and the kids are starting at a much earlier age, and the demands on them are much greater. I mean, I didn't have a sponsor. I didn't, you know, Capriati's got her own shoe with her name on it. You know, I still haven't had a shoe with my name on it.
It's a question that has followed Jennifer since even before she turned pro.
Does it ever get to just be too much?
When things are getting too much, I just want to say, just leave me alone and let me go in my room and do something by myself. But I don't know, I just get used to it and block it out.
It's also a question that has followed her hard-driving father, who responds with an old Italian saying about pears.
In my language, we say you must take the pear when it's mature, when it's ready to eat. You know, you cannot...
When it's ripe.
When ripe. And Jennifer is ripe now to play tennis.
It may seem like an awfully demanding life for a 14-year-old, but then Jennifer Capriati has grown up in the highly competitive world of tennis here in Florida, along with hundreds of kids just as driven as she is. Before Jennifer was born, her father Stefano said he was going to make her into a tennis player. And by the age of 3, she was swinging a tennis racket. Jennifer was so promising that when she was 4 and a half, Stefano took her to Jimmy Everett, who had done pretty well teaching his own daughter, Chris. Everett had a rule, no students under 5. That is, until he saw Jennifer play.
Since I came along, there have been a lot of parents bringing their kids to my dad. And he would come home and he'd say, you know, the pressure, the parents had such high expectations. They wanted their kids to be champions, and the kids didn't have it. My dad finally came home one day and he said, this little girl has it.
By age 9, Jennifer was making a name for herself on the Florida tennis circuit.
Well, I'm looking to be a good tennis player in the future, but first I have to become #1 in my division.
She rose through the ranks of junior tennis with solid ground strokes and a steely determination.
When I first picked up the racket, I just really loved it, and I've just been playing it ever since, and I've never had a doubt that I wanted to do anything else.
Then, last year, she moved to the top of the 32,000 girls 18 and under who play junior tennis in this country. At age 13, winning the French and U.S. Open junior championships. Stefano pressed for her to be allowed to turn pro. And last March, 3 weeks before her 14th birthday, she started playing for pay, with photographers swarming over the court.
I'm excited about my match, but I think the media is kind of a little out of control.
In just a few months, the corporate world has fallen in love with Jennifer. Theodora signed her to a 5-year sportswear deal that, depending on Jennifer's performance, could be worth over $2 million a year. She signed a 3-year contract with Prince Rackets that could bring her over $1 million a year. Then, for carrying a Gatorade bottle in Europe, over $100,000. To wear a Texaco patch on her shoulder, over $500,000. And this week, Procter & Gamble announced she'll promote Oil of Olay skin lotion in another $1 million deal. All the money goes into a trust fund.
How do you feel about all of these endorsements?
I mean, I'll just wear their clothes and use their rackets, but I don't think about the money at all. I mean,
You don't?
No, I'm not. Of course, okay, now I think, oh, yes, I get to do more shopping, you know. But I'm not playing for the money. I'm playing for my pride, and I don't care about the money.
But investing in young tennis stars is no sure thing. Andrea Jaeger is the most often cited case of teen burnout. A star at 16, out of the game with a shoulder injury at 19. Now 25, Jaeger says there are more safeguards today. Noting when she was 14, she played in 21 tournaments, while Jennifer is limited to 12.
When I turned 14, the medical advancement wasn't there, the tests weren't there, and the education wasn't. Right now, Jennifer has a lot of things in her favor.
Jennifer dismisses talk of burnout, but it's harder for her father, Stefano.
Tennis fathers have a bad reputation these days. They're being portrayed in the press as, you know, pushing too hard and too fast and, you know, trying to live their dreams with their daughters. Are you a tennis father?
The only people that can understand, they can support a champion, that are parents. I know what it takes to do it, and so long Jennifer wanted, I just help her. If tomorrow comes to Jennifer and they say, I want to do something else, I will help her, no problem.
And at this point, that may be the biggest threat to Jennifer's tennis future. Not that she will burn out, but that she will simply decide to do something else.
At 14 years old, there are a lot of outside factors that could happen. I mean, she could have distractions. She could fall in love, get married, and have kids when she's 18.
And Jennifer's parents are trying to help her lead as normal a life as possible for a 14-year-old tennis millionaire. Jennifer is excited about starting 9th grade next month. She'll have a tutor when she travels. And she's interested in boys, including a 24-year-old Swede who just happened to win Wimbledon this year.
I heard a rumor at Wimbledon that you have a crush on Stefan Edberg. Is that true?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he's cute and all. But, you know, it's just, you have crushes on everyone. I mean, I have crushes like on Tom Cruise and Johnny Depp and all that stuff.
I know, but you're not at a tournament with them. You're at a tournament with Stefan Edberg.
Yeah, but he's got a girlfriend.
What? He's got a girlfriend?
Yeah.
But at this point, even Stefan Edberg takes a backseat to tennis. Next week, Jennifer will play in the U.S. Open, the tournament she says she'd like to win most. Stefano keeps telling her this year is just for learning, not winning. But for a girl whose dreams keep coming true, it's not too early for Jennifer to start thinking about her tennis legacy.
When I'm retired and I'm walking down the street, you know, maybe some kid would say, oh, you know, there's the best tennis player that ever lived, you know. That would be great for me.